Before talking specifically about the high-level talks between China and the United States, let's think about one question. Why does the United States launch a trade war against China? Will the trade war last after Joe Biden has taken office? Well, to answer these two questions, we need to introduce a concept, the law of conservation of energy. Yes, it's the axiom a high school students can understand. Energy doesn't increase or disappear without foundation. It only passes from one object to another. It's the same with the rules in economics. Considering humans are not yet capable of bringing back to Earth those asteroids full of diamonds or gold, the total amount of global wealth will be the same. Even though the amount of currency may increase, prices may get inflated, the global wealth won't increase. It means if the wealth of the Chinese people increased, it's inevitable someone's wealth will decrease. Who is he? The United States or all developed Western countries? The reason is so simple. If you are the President of the United States, you have two choices. First, let your own nationals get poorer and poorer. Second, to wage a trade war with China. Although there is possibility of failure, the result will be the same as no trade war. Thus, people in the United States get poorer and poorer. But if you succeed, you can eliminate the consequence and the United States will still be the only superpower in the world. How would you choose? I think you won't hesitate but to choose wage a war with China. This is Trump's decision and also Obama's, Biden's, and every US president's choices in the future.
Just go back to the US-China talks in March. 3 rounds of talks have been held so far, seemingly covering a range of issues in economy and trade, military, law enforcement, humanities, health, cybersecurity, climate change, Iranian nuclear weapons, Afghanistan, the Korean Peninsula, and Burma. But in fact, the tone of the talks was set at the beginning. That the current world's only superpower is curbing the rise of the world's second most powerful nation. At the beginning of the first round of the talks, Blinken lashed out at China's handling of Xinjiang, Hong Kong, and Taiwan issues in a clear attempt to take the opportunity to interfere in China's internal affairs. But that's the bottom line that China won't allow to be violated.
But we may think carefully. Does the US government really care about Uyghurs in Xinjiang? Does it really care about democracy in Hong Kong? Does it really care about the independence and freedom of Taiwan? The answer is obviously no. The only thing the United States has left to the Middle East countries is poverty and wars. When Russia annexes Kashmir, where was the United States? Where was NATO when Russia stormed Estonia and Georgia? Therefore, democracy, freedom, human rights, the US government doesn't care. The US government only cares about the interests of its country. After all, the core value of the Stoic school is cynicism. It's the common nature of human beings. Either King of Know-It-All or Sleepy Joe, as the leader of the United States, his duty is to pursue stronger power and more wealth for his country and his people. No matter what the method is, it doesn't matter. Because when you are on the top of the world, you can rewrite the history.
Now the 3 rounds of talks have ended. The only consensus having been reached by the two sides was the cancellation of the luncheon and dinner. The result isn't actually unexpected. Long before the talks began, Chinese ambassador to the US Cui Tiankai said he had no hope for the talks, and the Chinese foreign minister also said, for the talks, there's no expectation. We just come to go through the motions and beat you up by the way. The US government also seems unprepared. From the opening statement, press interview, translation, they made mistakes at almost every step. So why did the US invite China to a meeting that seems destined to lead no results or consensus? The answer is simple. The talks were held, but not with China. It's a talk with the US domestic society, especially with the Republican Party. Sleepy King has been in office for 50 days and is about to reach a critical point that's 100 days exactly. He needs to tell domestic, especially the Republican Party elites through this talk that, like you're Trump, I'm also tough on China. So no matter whether the US and China can reach a consensus in the end, as long as this meeting is held as scheduled, the US expresses its tough political stance. It can be a major achievement in the first 100 days during Sleepy Joe's term. However, Sleepy Joe's plan is not just that. We all know the United States is about to return to the Paris Agreement.
I will rejoin the Paris Accord. I will join the Paris Accord because with us out of it, look what's happening. It's all falling apart.
Although Biden knows the talks won't yield any substantial results, he can be sure of one thing. That is, China will definitely reach a consensus with the United States on climate issues and environmental protection. And the two sides will definitely cooperate. When the time comes, Joe Biden can proudly tell American citizens that I'm tough on China and my toughness has brought China to its knees and China is willing to cooperate with the United States. That's what Sleepy King intends to do.
Of course, this meeting also signifies the US government's statement and support for its allies in the international community. China's sanctions against Australia continue. The US government knows that China needs to cooperate with itself on climate issues. So, what's the bargaining chip? It must include the lifting of sanctions against Australia. However, will it work? The United States has overestimated its influence. I think China's sanctions against Australia will undoubtedly continue, or it will be equal to encouraging its allies to attack China. So I think the meeting between China and the US is both a US internal political show and a US statement to its allies. The US wants to tell former allies, me and Trump is not the same. The United States is back. At the same time, the trade war will continue. Perhaps in the future, the trade war will change its name, such as long-arm jurisdiction, Asia-Pacific rebalancing, and so on. As for your question about when China and the United States will reach a substantial consensus, I would say it will be the next time when Chinese President Xi Jinping visits the United States. But when will Chinese President visit the United States? Perhaps that was the major discussion in this March meeting. I'm Kathy Chen, that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you like it, just subscribe and leave a comment. Bye!